All right.
Got it.
Good. Now, Kathy, I cannot wait. I am telling you right now, when I make it to Italy, I don't know when that's going to be, but listen, you're going to have a sister over. I'm serious.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
oh my gosh. It's on the
Yes.
list because I hear
Huh.
Italy has the best shoes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the boots
I'm still here, Jules.
Do you like boots?
Hello.
Oh, I'll take you to the
Sorry,
best boot
Perry.
store.
Sorry, Perry.
Oh, love it.
Well, I'm going to tell you what my husband and I love Amsterdam. It's one of our favorite cities, and there's amazing food and there's amazing art. So there you go. They're two of our favorite things there. Actually.
Yeah.
But Venice is much better than Amsterdam. Sorry, Dutch people. Venice is much nicer
Well, that's
than Amsterdam.
that's another place that I've not been. So that's on my list. And I want to stamp my passport, right? I've only been to the Caribbean and I've gone to Europe and Paris, but that's it. So I want to do more of that in Italy and definitely Amsterdam and Australia. And of course, my BFF has been talking to me about getting to Africa to do the Serengeti, what do you call that? With all the animals.
Safari.
Oh, you want to see
A
the
safari. A safari.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
And you have to go to Switzerland as well. You need to have a non-linear passport with all the stamps from all over the world. Switzerland,
Exactly.
you need to go to Switzerland as well. So beautiful.
Okay.
So, guys, we are live. How is everybody out there? And I just want to have my say about when I was in Venice. The first time I was there, I was 13, and I bought myself my very first pair of knee-high white patent leather boots.
Ooh,
I-
okay.
Quite something. I know. So, Venice was a good favorite place for me. So, guys out there, welcome to Make Shit Happen. And you know how we started off. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock. So guys, enjoy. And thanks for joining us today. I want to get started right away because we got a lot to cover today. We've got an amazing guest with us from Amsterdam. And how Perry and I had met and started this whole conversation was we happened to read on LinkedIn, one of our favorite sites from Richard Branson, and he had mentioned in his main topic that companies need to be more neurodiverse in their hiring. So in other words, hire more people that have autism. But there was one thing he didn't mention, and that was Parkinson's, which is a neuro deficiency. So I emailed him back and said, hey, look, here's my hand. I also want to be hired somewhere because I may not function 100% through my body, but my brain is still intact. And I could be of good use to a company. He never answered me back. But Perry,
He never does. He never does.
I know.
He never does. I keep sending him messages. He never does.
But Perry answered me back. And so we got talking about the octopus movement. And I thought that because we have so many of our viewers, plus us guys, each one has a story, a neurodiversity story. And I wanted to share that. And Perry was the person I thought that could do this so well for us. So I'm going to hand it over to each one of us introducing ourselves. So Kathy, do you want to start it off?
Hi, everybody. Kathy from Venice, Italy. I'm really thrilled to be here because, as you guys know, my life is all about neurodiversity, working with dyslexics, ADD individuals, and autistics, and having 3 children who are all neurodiverse in various degrees, as well as myself. So I really identify with this tiny little bit that I dipped into what Perry's doing, and I'm just excited, as all of you guys, to find out more about it today.
Oh, Patty.
Cool.
I'm Patty Castanel. I'm sort of the political literature guru for Make Shit Happen. I found the octopus movement fascinating. I think it was so interesting when Margaret told me about it and said, read about it, take a look at your website. I just found it to be fascinating. I think that I'm somewhat of a nonlinear thinker. I'm curious to find out more. to see if I really am or not. And I'm also, Kathy's nodding, she is. I also fascinating the people that you identified, famous people, artists, scientists, actor, you identify them as nonlinear thinkers. And I'm fascinated by that too, particularly Frank Gehry. I thought that was pretty awesome. So looking forward to
Cool,
this.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Perry, I'm Cecily. I am Margie's sidekick. And so we co-host the show together. I'm a broadcast journalist, a veteran broadcast journalist here in the Orlando area, and founder of a nonprofit for women, WOW Legacy Group. And so we are here, and also the author of a best-selling Amazon book entitled She Said the P Word. So if you want to know what that P word is, you've got to read the book. You've got to read the book. So we're excited to have you here as we move this conversation along, because first of all, I needed to make sure that I pronounced your last name correctly. And it's Perry, don't, Knoppert.
Knoppert. Love it.
Knoppert.
Kno-
Oh, I'm
Knoppert.
sorry.
I love Knoppert. I keep it in Knoppert. Sounds good to me. Thank you so much.
Perry, we're excited to have you here and to learn more about it. But I just want to kind of go over a little bit of your bio here. And this is something that I'm not sure what that is, and I'm going to need you to tell me what that is. But based on what your words are, you were a mad multi-potential, what is that word? Multi-potentialite.
Multi-potentialite. Someone is a multi-potentialite when you're not a single specialist, when you have multiple interests, right? If you look at my resume, it's a big mess. And not only because I have ADHD and I'm dyspraxic, but also because I created a TV show. I was selling animal nutrition. I was a CEO of a startup. I did everything. I'm an artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't choose. I refuse to choose, which is a beautiful book of Barbara Sher. And she explains it so well what a multi-potentialite is. Refuse to choose from Barbara Sher.
I love that. I love that.
Can I just interrupt here quickly? Because I think that this is important of where we all come from. I mean, Patty's joining us from Hawaii, and Kathy's joining us from Venice, Italy. I don't know where you are, Cecily, because you travel so much, but I'm back in town. And then I'm from Florida, but originally I'm from Zimbabwe, Africa. And then our guest Perry is from Amsterdam. So
we are the world. We are the children.
And this is exactly what we're doing with the Octopus Movement. It's connecting amazing brains like yours together and connect no matter what background, no matter what age, no matter what gender, no matter what education, no matter what you believe. It's all about the nonlinear thinking. That's what we do with the Octopus Movement. Exactly what's happening right here.
You said that instead of seeing your ADHD, energy, dyslexic preference for visual and verbal learning, you decided to flip the script and you reinvented yourself into a non-linear thinker, right? And then you created the Octopus Movement. And I know there are many people wondering, what the heck is the Octopus Movement? And you're going to tell us more about that. And it's to help make a difference for those multi-passionate people to use their diverse knowledge, right? And think outside of the box for the better. And I love that because we are all out of the box thinkers completely. So take it away and tell us more about the Octopus Movement and what this all looks like for us when we're all out of the box thinkers.
Do you know that feeling when you want to share a lot, when you want to say a lot and you're thinking, where do I start? I have that right now. I want to tell everything and I'm thinking, oh my God, where do I start? I need to start 1.5 years ago when I found out I'm a multi-potentialite. Someone sent me the TED Talk of Emily Wapnick explaining what a multi-potentialite is. And I was looking at that and I'm thinking,
so
oh my
God.
It's a
real thing. It's not something
It's a real thing. I didn't make that up. It's a real thing. And I was looking at it and thinking, oh, shit, that's me. Shit, not bullshit, just shit. Shit, make it happen. And I was thinking, oh, that's me. That's cool because everybody always thought that I was a bit weird. I was always doing things differently, always. And I was looking at that and I thought, oh, I'm a multi-potentialite. Then I became very curious and I wanted to interview people who are also multi-potentialites. And I was doing that all over the world. I looked at LinkedIn, I looked at profiles where people were saying that they're a multi-potentialite. And I was scanning LinkedIn with all these profiles and looking for people that would appeal to me, that something would trigger me. And the first interview I did was in Bangladesh, South Africa, the USA, Jordan. I was flying all over the world behind my laptop with Zoom. Love that. And I interviewed 84 people that all have multipotentiality. And the next thing that happened was that I was thinking, oh my God, of 9 out of 10 that I interviewed have neurodiversity, have ADHD, have something, bipolar, dyspraxia, dyslexia, you name it. And I thought, oh, maybe it's because of that neurodiversity, something triggers in your brain that you develop multipotentiality. And I was talking to a lot of multipotentialites, and with all their stories, there was one thing always the same. No matter where I was interviewing them, no matter where they were in the world, no matter what age, whatever, they were all saying, it's sometimes so difficult not to behave like the expectations you have around you from your parents, from your siblings, from your friends. So it's cool to be different. And we have to say, oh, we don't care. We don't give a fuck about others' opinions. Sorry for the word, but we do care. It's sometimes difficult, especially when people that love you don't understand who you are because you don't fit in that expectation, that box, that linear thinking. And they were all struggling a little bit with that. And I said to them, well, we have multipotentiality, but in Germany, they call that scanners. In France, they call it zebras. You have jack of all trades. You have generalists. I'm lost. How are we going to do this? And then a few of these multipotentialites were saying to me, and I said, I need a visual. I'm a visual thinker. I need to see something when I'm thinking about this. And then someone in London said to me, Perry, I use the emoji of an octopus. I said, why do you do that? She said, I don't know. I just love it. And then someone in South Africa said to me, oh, have you seen the movie My Octopus Teacher? It's brilliant. So I went to Netflix, watched that documentary, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to make the octopus movement. This is it. We can relate, all of us, with neurodiversity, with multipotentiality, if we're a scanner, if we're a generalist, if we just don't fit in that box of expectations, if we're not linear, then something happens when we see an octopus or when we hear the word octopus, because they're cool creatures. They're different and amazing, like us.
And they're kind of all over the place. Like when you think about an octopus, there are tentacles.
They will escape. They escape no matter what. You cannot put them in a box. And I love that. And then I was thinking, that's nonlinear thinking. So if you're in this category of multipotentiality or neurodiversity, and I'm not saying that you have neurodiversity when you're a nonlinear thinker. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you have neurodiversity, you might also be a nonlinear thinker. You might also be a multipotentialite. I'm sorry for
interrupting you. That's the question that I wanted to ask you, because I don't have dyslexia or ADHD, but I feel like I am an out of the box thinker. So when you say you don't necessarily have to be a multipotentialite and have XYZ, but I can just be a normal multipotentialite, correct?
You can be a normal person and nonlinear thinker at the same time. Oh. That's fine. But you're a woman, and this is fabulous. Women are more likely to be nonlinear thinkers. Your brains are like mine. It doesn't stop in my thinking. There is this stand-up comedy dude from the States a while back, and he was explaining the difference between men and women. And he was talking about the nothing box with men. Does that ring a bell with any one of you? I will look it up and share it with you. And he was saying men have a nothing box. They have a box for work. They have a box for their wife. They have a box for their kids. And when they're in their box, they're in their box. So if they're working, and they're not thinking about the kids. They're not thinking about the wife. They're not thinking about dinner. They're thinking about work, and that's all there is. And they have a nothing box. So when they're at home doing nothing, they don't think about anything. And then the wife asks to the man, what are you thinking about? And then he will say, nothing. There is an empty box. These guys don't have to do meditation. My brain doesn't have an empty box. It doesn't stop. So I have a female brain or something like that because it's connected all different ways. If I'm working, I'm thinking about dinner and I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about that and I see connections. It's driving me nuts and I'm enjoying it so much. And the world is dominated by linear thinkers in boxes in a straight line. That's why there's so many men and in politics, in the organizations. That's why it's a male-driven world. It's because of that bloody empty box and linear thinking. It needs to change.
I want to ask you something, and it's really towards Kathy to initiate for me. But she explained her children have autism. Apparently, people that are autistic have a far greater brain than us normal people. And they refer to them as being the geniuses of the world. So, Kathy, I know that you have your opinion about this. Can you share it with us or ask us?
Well, now I'm understanding now, Perry, what you meant by non-linear, because for me and what I do, I think of people who think verbally. I mean, we all think verbally and visually, but there's people who prefer to think verbally and people who prefer to think visually, so they're more global. So I was kind of thinking, well, wait a minute, it just means nonlinear means I'm thinking visually, but now I understand what you're saying. You're saying it's being forced to think this one way. And I think, I just wanted to point out, Perry, that I think this is what school trains us to do. Mm-hmm. We have kids that aren't, there's no way any child is thinking, when you watch them, they don't think like this. They're all over. And then we're just squashed and conditioned. And those people that are rebels, rebels in the sense that there's people that don't allow themselves to be squashed. And so they continue to keep this connection to who we really are. So I definitely think, from just my perspective, is that if I'm able to think multiple ways and connect things, common sense would be that's using my intelligence in a way that's going to bump my intelligence up a bit, because I'm not holding on to my intelligence. But what I also think is great about what you're saying, Perry, is before I found out that I was dyslexic and ADD, which I found out about 10 years ago while I was training to do this work. So, but when I was helping my son and on the journey, I started to be really jealous of people with dyslexia and ADD and autism, because I thought this is really a superior brain. And I wanted that brain. So what I like about what you're saying is when you have people like everybody else in this group who's not identifying as ADD or dyslexic, but in my opinion, all three of you, beautiful ladies, you have the gifts of that based on what I know about you personally, my interactions and what you do. So I think it's also great to create a space now saying, okay, none of you had something that became a dys, that created problems for you, that you had to get a label to make somebody happy so they could try to help you. So yeah, I think this is really great. But I did also have a question for you, Perry. First of all, Octopus Movement is a fabulous name. It's just something for me that can go viral very easily. What's the Octopus Movement? It could be anything. It could be, it's just going to pique your curiosity. But when you said you're connecting all of us, so what do you want all of us to do together once we're connected into the Octopus Movement?
Great question.
Okay, I will come back to that. Can I say something about education? Can I rumble things up a little bit?
Go for it.
Education is horrible. It's so linear. They're destroying so many things, and I think they know it. And that's why they're holding on to it even more these days. While in the meantime, beautiful new ideas are starting up within education and online education. This pandemic has been fantastic. It shows that we can learn in a different way as well. And things will change. We created the nonlinear education award. We're going to see who's ready to make the next step to be a nonlinear educator. It's horrible, right? You go to school. I have a daughter who has dyslexia. It's a huge problem for school, not for her. She's okay with that. But for school, it's a big issue because she's not doing A, B, C, D in a straight line. So what do, right? And then teachers are always saying to me, oh, Perry, yes, I would have done things differently, but it's the system. Oh, no, I don't hide behind the system, because I know teachers who do amazing things no matter what system. That's what they use. Yeah, it's the system. It's a very linear thought again. Oh, it's the system, so I can't do anything. It needs to change. My middle son, Ole, has dyspraxia. I'm cracking up with him. His handwriting is horrible. He cannot even read his own handwriting, which is very difficult in education. He's doing the international school. He's doing an IB. And when he does math and he does the calculation, it always goes wrong because he can't read his own calculation. But there are apps, there are systems to help him, but it's so difficult for them to adjust. It's horrible. I let him write down things on cards and I framed it because I think it's a work of art, his handwriting. It's so different. Nobody writes the same way as he does. And he should be proud of it. And at school, he keeps hearing, Ole, you need to focus. You need to do better. You need to concentrate on your handwriting. It keeps him going. It's horrible. Okay, now to your question. So what are we doing to connecting all these nonlinear thinkers in the world? First thing we're doing is a huge global art project. It's a book like this, an art book, big one. This is 400 pages, going to be 800 pages, and it's going to be 398 people. Oh, this is a horrible picture, but okay, I will show it to you anyway. It's art. So it's a picture of a nonlinear person plus the text about that person. 398. Why 398? 3 hearts, 9 brains, and 8 arms. It's an octopus. And they will be in this art book, and it will travel the world as an exhibition. New York, LA, Montreal, Tel Aviv, Karachi, Beijing, Moscow, even talking about Venice, Amsterdam, of course, Paris. It's traveling the world to show what nonlinear thinkers are. Who are
Well,
these
you have
people?
to have Margaret in that book, Perry, and her art.
Deal.
Absolutely, she has to
So-
be in that book.
So we're creating art projects to create awareness on the debate, what we're doing right here. What is a nonlinear thinker? Because what's the problem? 90% of the people with autism, they don't have a job. Why? They don't fit in the linear path. For F's sake, why? And I have so many people in the movement with autism. They're brilliant. They're amazing. They're wonderful. They're beautiful. They're so nice, so elegant. So what the hell is wrong? And it's because you have these linear thinkers in linear management structures that everything needs to fit. HR is a big problem as well. Think about education, but HR as well. They use computer programs to scan your resume when you send your resume into a big corporation where you want to have a job. And if you don't get enough points with your resume, they don't even want to look at your resume. I can share with you, if they will look at my resume, it's horrible. It's all over the place. Can I do an amazing job if I believe in something? Oh, yes, I can, right? So we need to create awareness, and we're connecting all these nonlinear thinkers, octopuses all over the world. 2 things. First of all, it's a movement. It's not a community, but because of the movement, it has created a community, and people love that because you can be completely yourself. You can share in that community whatever you want to share, and people are helping out each other. And if someone has a bad day, we understand, we understand how it feels to have ADHD. And when you're in the rabbit hole and you're thinking, oh shit, what am I doing? This is all wrong. So that's the community. The other thing is that we created a think tank with nonlinear thinkers. And what we're doing is we're thinking about world issues, big issues, and we're writing white papers as we speak about big issues, women rights in India, rainforest, all these things. And we're writing down ideas, what we as nonlinear pop culture kind of people think where the solution could be. And we're not solving it ourselves. We're creating a white paper, which is like art. It's to inspire people, that someone locally will read that and say, this is what I've been always thinking about. I'm going to use that white paper. I'm going to use the power of that octopus movement, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a difference. Because, there was a whole debate about Jeff Bezos and his flying dick to the atmosphere, and he spent 100 million, and people were saying, no, isn't that a little bit too much? He should have done something different with his money. Let him fly. It's okay, because we now have 700 plus people in the movement. We can already make a huge difference by using this and not by using this. It's amazing. You don't need money to make a difference.
Jump in there with you, Perry, because I know that you're going to go in and keep talking, but I just want to make sure that we're getting some of these questions answered. So how do you get involved in the movement? Because you're 3 years in?
Oh, I love this question. Really, you did so well. This is month 7.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Month 7.
Yeah.
And you've expanded it this far. How can we get involved? How does someone get involved?
They go to the website, they register at the website. You will be in the database of the movement where you share how we can reach you, what's happening, and then we allow you in the Facebook group and we connect, and you will be on the website. You can choose if you want to be an octopus and swim with other octopuses, and that's it. Or if you want to be an octopus teacher, teaching other people what it is about nonlinear thinking to linear people, to nonlinear people. And the movement is for everyone. It's not only for nonlinear people, it's also for linear people. It's for everybody who wants to make a difference. And we have the nonlinear specialists. So everybody in the group has multiple specialists. And I want to focus on the beauty of using multiple specialists when you want to achieve something, and not only go to a single specialist, but you can also use a multiple specialist. Right. And you have the think tank, and you can be in the art project. So go to the website and you can find everything, basically. And forgive me, I made the website myself. So if there is a typo error, I'm dyslexic, so then I made a mistake. And but it's beautiful. People from 48 countries are there now.
Your website is absolutely beautiful. And I mean, the way you set it up, I really like. It was easy for me to go through. And I'm going to make 2 comments. One is I'm really involved right now in lots of women's issues and lots of politics. And your comment about women is right on, I have to say to you. From birth, from 5 years old, we're taught to be multitaskers all the time. So it makes sense to do that. I know over the years, I'm a very visual learner. And I've had lots of teams that have worked for me. And I was always drawn to non-linear thinkers, the people who would come in and interview with me. And, during that time frame, you had a lot of one-on-one personal interviews. It wasn't like it is today. And as soon as somebody came into my office and I could see talent and I could see it everywhere, I was like, I want that person. And quite frankly, that's how I hired Margaret. And that's exactly one of the reasons I did, because I was fascinated just with her. And I thought you can train people to do what they need to do. You can use their talents. But I think that comment about women is really right on. And I think for us in the US, what we have seen is more and more women going into politics. So for me, I think the next 20 years, if this movement continues, it could get better. We might really see more consensus, and we might see really better decisions being made. So I think your comments about that are, and the nothing box, I've never heard it described like that before, but it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've worked with some amazing men, but they totally do think very differently. So yeah, that was great. Thank you.
not all men, thank you, but there are men like me, and there are lots of them who are thinking in a different way. And it's beautiful. And I spoke recently with Nusra Durrani from MTV, and we were comparing this with pop culture. It's nonlinear thinking is like pop culture. It's very creative. It's combining all kinds of things. It's wonderful. And look at Iceland, where there are a lot of women in power, and that country is doing very, very, very amazingly well. So we should learn something from them.
Kathy?
I just want to point out that I think we always need to be careful to say people who don't have all of these talents and who are nonlinear are also necessary in humanity. We're all needed. But
Yes.
the point is that we've been skewed and trained, and the Industrial Revolution needed people to work in a factory and be very linear. And so that's what we needed at the time. But now we need to go where we are with humanity right now and all the problems that we're facing. We definitely need the nonlinear neurodiversity to very much emerge. And, you know, Perry, one of the things I would say about your kids are really lucky because they have you, and even though they're struggling at school, they still they have somebody pointing out to their gifts and isn't stressed out about it. But that's not, in working with these individuals and helping them, that's not the norm. And what I think is really bad for society is when you have a neurodiverse person or a nonlinear person that then thinks that they're stupid, because they will then hold their talents and gifts a way of being. And that becomes really dangerous. But besides not helping society, it actually becomes very dangerous, because then the intelligence has to develop and it will get involved in things that aren't necessarily positive things. So it's quite urgent that we free all of these other children and young people whose parents aren't aware that neurodiversity is great and needed. And we have a really, really long way to go. And we want to not lose sight of that, because when you're involved in something like with my work and all my colleagues, we know it's great. And so you can kind of be detached from the majority of the world doesn't see it that way. And then everybody groups together in this beautiful movement, the octopus movement. And then you go, but wait a minute, you know, we're the small group of people that have understood this. So we have to change the world. There's a lot of work to do.
And I have a comment to make about that, and that was going to be one of my questions. And so I'm a linear thinker, but for me to actually be successful, I have to have a linear thinker to do what I'm linear thinking up here. I can linear think, but I can't linear do, because I get bored, because I'm already thinking about the next thing.
Right.
So
right.
I need to say, here it is, take it like I want it to get done. So to your point, Kathy, yes, to be successful, we have to have linear thinkers, because we can't all be non-linear thinkers. Nothing will get done. And my other comment and question is this being funded? What financially, is there anything financially attached to this for teachers?
More than a year ago, I was homeless. I lost everything. I gave up my linear life. It was the end of my relationship. I couldn't afford the house I was living in anymore. And I found out I was a multi-potential. I am a multi-potentialite. So I wanted to stop living the linear life, going for the career, going for the Instagram account, going for the likes, going for the money, the 2 cars, the swimming pool, everything. And it had to stop. I just wanted to stop. And so no income. Back in the Netherlands doesn't recognize me as one of their citizens because I came from abroad. I was away for 13 years. I'm doing it all by myself without an income, with a few donations here and there from friends and family to keep things going. And that's it.
So, I mean, this hushed silence, I think we all astounded what you're doing and not getting
If there's no support. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
And I want to say something about the yin and yang, if that's possible. Yeah. I've lived in China for 3.5 years. It is about the yin and yang, right? It is about the balance. There is a professor in San Francisco who's also doing brain research, and she's saying, thanks to neurodiversity, you have other qualities that are amazing that normal people don't have because of the yin and yang brain, she calls that. And I do believe that it needs to be a balance of linear thinking and nonlinear thinking. A lot of things that I do are in a very linear way. Otherwise, I don't get things done, right? That needs to be in a linear way. But the world is now dominated, I think, for 70 to 80% in linear thinking and linear structures. And we need to shake that up. We need to create awareness that it finally comes up in a better balance, and that more people, and you see that in the tech industry, there are so many founders and CEOs of startups, of these cool companies who have neurodiversity, who are nonlinear thinkers. So things are shifting for sure.
Well,
but we need to
brings
shape
me to
more.
my point, Perry. With all of the individuals that you've identified as influencers, as multi potentialites, are they not circling around this movement and becoming a part of it and helping to fund, because they really recognize the power that it gives?
I hope I will get there. But for me, it was so important. I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to do it. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've seen lots of things, and I just wanted to make it happen no matter what. And for me, it was a personal, very interesting nonlinear challenge to say, this is what I want to achieve no matter what. No matter what happens, I want to go there. And hopefully, and probably, things will change. I'm creating a documentary about nonlinear thinking as well, talking to huge companies who are interested in this. And so things will change as long as we create more awareness. And I'm very pleased if there are sponsors or people who want to donate money or whatever, that we can do even more, because I'm now doing everything myself. And thank God I have ADHD and I can work 4 things at the same time. Thank God.
So talent has made you even more successful. I mean, your yin yang brain has actually made you more successful, and you've accepted it and you like it. And I think it's a fear. I think it's like many things. I think parents who have to deal with children, like, it's fearful. And now that these concepts are starting to be talked about and thought about and looked at as gifts. I mean, I think about elementary school for me. We had several classes, and the kids who were gifted really were often put together and dealt with in a completely different way. And yet that was at this huge talent pool of these amazing minds. And, educators just didn't know what to do with it. But I do think that that's changing to some degree. I really do. And I think your point about individuals changing it, no matter what field you're in, whether you're in business or in teaching, there are always people who will be the rebels, who will say, I don't want to be squat. Like, I'm going to figure out how to do what I need to do, what I think is good, what I think is for these talented people within the structure of an organization. And we need to keep doing that. I think that's really critical.
Exactly.
I think that's we've all done that right here.
Right.
You've done it, Margaret, with this podcast. I've done it with my foundation. Kathy, you're doing it. So we're all doing it. And as you said, doing things that will make life better for everyone, because we all have something to bring to the table. I love what Kathy said. We all are needed to make it happen.
Exactly. And then I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. I'm trying to talk with most of the people that are in the movement now. And I'm always saying, send me an invite for a coffee and Zoom, and that we can have a talk. And I spoke with more than 100 new people within the past 6 months, and having these Zoom calls and listening to their stories. And recently there was a girl from Japan moved to the US to do 2 studies at the same time, because that's not possible in Japan. You choose one study. It's very linear again in Japan. So she went to the US, went to one of the best universities, does 2 studies at the same time. Bloody brilliant mind. She translated the manifesto on our website in Japanese.
Wow.
And here we go. That's what people do in the movement. They read the manifesto, and I'm always asking, what language do you speak? Do you want to change? Do you want to translate the manifesto in your language? So we have quite a few interesting versions of the manifesto in our movement.
That's good.
And it's a delight working with nonlinear people. It's amazing, really. Goes so fast.
Yeah. Well, I must say from myself, I have a little story, and it's like an aha for me today. And that is, number one, I think more people are listening and doing something about non-lineal people. I think they are learning what non-lineal people are, because I think for so long we've avoided it. And the reason why I say that is because as a teenager, we had this group of college friends and family. And I was always the sort of outcast of the group. You know, I wasn't there when they had their meetings or went out for dinner or beers or something like that. I was off doing something, and most times it was mischievous because I was a very curious person. And now fast forward 37 years, and I reunited with one of our rat pack, and he had said to me, he said, "You have become very accomplished, and I didn't think you were that way when you were 17. And I looked at him and I said, "I was. You just never noticed it."
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think that we have been able to notice it or tuned in to notice people that are different and realize that they can become accomplished. They have something to give to society. They have something to train their kids on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you have got to do it differently, and you've got to recognize it.
Yeah.
So many people in the movement are also saying that success is something different for them than career success and money.
Well,
It's-
success is different for everybody, right?
I
Success
know,
is
but-
different for everybody.
Exactly. But most of them are saying regarding success is the exploration, the learning, the developing, that's success for them, you know, to keep learning and to keep busy with they're all addicted to their brains, more or less. They love the challenges. These people love problems. You know, some of them even create problems just to be in problems, to solve problems. They love it. And they love problems more than money. They love the challenge of learning something quickly. I moved to China and we went into a compound, and the person who was helping us relocating said, "Perry, are you sure this is a whole Chinese compound? Nobody speaks one word of English." I loved it. You know, first day I had to go to IKEA to buy a children's bed. And I was in the middle of Beijing, really the first day. I haven't slept in Beijing. I was in IKEA buying a bed, came outside with a big box, going to the taxis. And they were all saying, no. Finally, I understood that the box was too big. Then someone else was trying to bring me home, and I had to pay for that, and I had to negotiate. I was in freaking China. I couldn't speak a word of Chinese. I loved it. It was the best time of my life. We love that. That's success for us. It's learning, developing constantly and doing new things instead of a swimming pool.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah. Well, this concept,
I don't mean it that way, but
the concept is amazing. Definitely something that allows everyone to feel like they can be a part of it, you know, the whole octopus movement. And we're really excited to have you here to share more about it. So I know if there are some last words that you'd like to share with us before we go, we just want you to give that floor to you to wrap it up in a nice little bow.
it would be so nice if all of you, Margaret, Cicely, Patty, and Kathy, also would join the movement. Really,
I
you're
joined.
wonderful.
I did it.
You joined. And Margaret, you need to be in the book. You
Yes.
need all these non-linears need to be in the book, and it's twice as 800 pages. It's going to be so beautiful. And these are all amazing people. They're so beautiful, and they're from all over the world, and all the same things are happening with their non-linear pop culture, amazing brain that allows us to develop and to create even a better place where we live, right? And if we can step back from all linear into a more balanced of non-linear, linear, and have a debate about this, that would be so awesome. The world would be so much better. And if my kids will have kids and they will all have neurodiversity and it will be celebrated at school instead of a problem as it is right now, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I think this is brilliant for what you're doing, for helping us think outside the box consistently.
Thank
And-
you so much for having me. Really cool. I love this.
And Perry, you and I'll keep in touch to see what else we can do. As you can see, we've got some really great minds and great thinkers on the panel, and I know that their minds will be thinking, how can we move this movement move faster, and get some non-lineal thinkers on board. So, guys, thank you so much. And as I always say, that Cicely and I this week are going to make shit happen. Patty and Kathy, I know you're going to make shit happen, and Perry, continue making shit happen. I think this is terrific,
Well,
guys. Thanks very much. Cheers. See you around the bend.
Take care.
thank you all. Thank
Bye,
you so
everybody.
much.
Be safe, Perry.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.